This is WeBurlesque.
Welcome to WEView, a part of the WeBurlesque network. I am Coco Rose, and I am going to be your moderator for this episode. And this is our special Pride episode. We're here, we're queer, get over it. Today we have joining us all the way from Colorado Springs, Mr. Valdez, and coming in from Amaretto, Texas, Pistol Holiday. From Salt Lake City, Utah, Harpy Lamore, and from Las Vegas, Nevada, the Sweet Siren, and our featured panelist for today, Waramono. I forgot where they were from because I didn't ask. I'm sorry. Where are you from, friend?
Denver's my hometown, but I live in LA.
Oh, you're in LA too. Welcome to the party, friend. So, since this is our Pride episode, we're going to come out of the gate hot and fast, and we are going to talk about the formative media as our queer media. Where do we see ourselves represented? When was the first time you saw yourself represented? And if you're feeling kind of spicy, what it did to you. So, who wants to kick this one off? All right, I'm going to start picking people. Valdez, you made eye contact.
Of course I did. Okay, so I'll start with the spicy one first. I think the moment that I knew was Ryan Phillipe, the pool scene in Cruel Intentions. The moment that it was just ass, I was like, that's it. I'm changed. Something changed within me. That was the moment. But I think probably the queer media that I think I would probably say like shaped me into who I am or where I saw myself was kind of good and bad was actually Queer as Folk. I was a young person. I want to say I was like 17 when it first started on HBO, the American version, and I was like secretly watching it because I wasn't out yet, and like heaven forbid my parents see me watching something like that because then they might get an idea of what's going on. Unfortunately, it kind of shaped my idea of what gay relationships were supposed to be like. Which on the bad side, it's a very unhealthy way to model what your gay relationships are going to be about. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it also kind of watching it back now, reflecting like, these are things that I will and will not stand for in a relationship with someone. So I'm kind of able to see both ends of that. It'd have to be that for me.
All right. Harpy, what you got, friend?
God. What do I have? About formative queer media? Well, okay. Faith from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That definitely made me realize, yes, I like ladies. And then I got a little older. Yeah, because she was really hot. And then men are different. Men come with other things. Like they have to, you can look at them, but then I need an emotional connection to see like, ooh, hot man. Because you can look at a man and be like, yeah, that's nice. But women, oh my God, I'm babbling. Let me be quiet.
Okay, Ernie.
I don't know about. Stop, Bert. The representation. I think it's hard finding queer representation. When I was growing up in the 90s, of Black bisexual women, because it was usually used more as a trope. Yeah, so I don't have that. I think I got to embrace a lot of queer art growing up because my mom took me to see Rent. She took me to see Tu Wong Fu. She took me, like, we would just go and hang out. So those are my formative queer things. And Prince, obviously. Oh my God, and Apollonia 6. She was so hot. Okay, I'm rambling. Please pick someone else.
Pistol, please save your friend.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. Gosh, this stuff will kind of date me. I mean, I grew up in the 80s. I graduated high school in the 80s. So I remember being a young gay kid, and the first, representation I ever saw was like there's a TV show called Soap and the show Dynasty. It had Stephen Carrington, both the original Stephen who was gay, then the replacement came in, but he was straight, but then he became gay. And so that's the first time I ever really saw some queer representation. For me, when, I was very rambunctious, and I kind of knew who I was very, very young. I was 14 and 15 already, out and about. And again, and at that time, my parents weren't very accepting at that time. I was, just, I was very young, and I was a couple of years ahead in high school. I graduated when I was 16, but I already was dating dudes that were in their 20s at that time. Now, and who I'm still friends with, it's kind of crazy because now, people would think, gosh, these dudes were pedos or something. It was a different time. I guess that kind of dates me a little bit, I guess, because they weren't taking advantage of me. I'll just be that upfront. I knew what I wanted very young, so I wasn't shy about it. So that's it. I mean, that's all I can offer. I was a hoe really young, so there you go.
There's a few songs about that.
Um, right. And again, that was just the thing, just the different artists at the time too. I mean, it was kind of neat because so much of queer culture was represented then, and you didn't even really know that it was. I mean, with Boy George and George Michael, you had the androgyny, you had the gender fluidity in artists before they were even called that. And I mean, I was a fan. I knew that they were my people. I just knew. I knew.
I guess I will go next. I honestly, there was no spark for me because being Southern, it was all in the church. It was always like I kind of pushed it down and just kind of, this doesn't work. Because I honestly didn't come out until I was 27. I pushed it down for a long time. And so I would see it and I would just like ignore it because if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. I don't have to face what's in there. But my biggest, my representation is a show called Survival of the Thickest. It's on Netflix, but it's her best friend. Yes, I love that show. I love that show. And she was like me. She ran through men. She's this boss bitch. She does all of these great things. She's super strong. Money rules her world. She has everything she wants, but her love life sucks. And that's the way mine was. And then her boyfriend or something invited her to a threesome, and then he bailed or something. And she realized, oh shit, I like this woman. What do I do? So I'm like, oh, yep, that's how it happened. So it was that internal battle. I even went to therapy about it, and I'm trying to figure out which way is up and all of this stuff. So I can't remember the character's name, but it's Tasha, the one from the angry black woman in all of the movies. But her character is the most representative of me. But then going into the poly side of queerness, it would be Ty from Harlem. Because same way, it's like Ty and I both married a man to escape. And she escaped Georgia, I escaped Tennessee. But it's that same thing. We buried it down because we were Southern people. We weren't allowed to express any of it. But those are my two representations of, if you combine that character and Ty's character, that's who I am as a queer woman. And just like with Survival of the Thickest, my biggest downfall is I have this passing privilege. So you look at me and no one's like, oh, she's queer, let's hit on her. No. Still get hit on by dudes. No women. So if you want to hit on me, I'm here. Hi. I'm available. I'm always busy, but I'm available. But yeah, so that's how that is my queer story. And it's still formulating because, again, I was 27. I was a mother, divorced for the first time. Yeah, we're still figuring it out at 43. It's wild. Yes, I will meet you at the airport. I will be there on the 4th. Yes, I'm heading to Newark. Pray for me, saints. Oh. They changed it. They changed the flight, so that's another story. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm flying to New York on the 4th. All right. Who wants to go next? There's only 2 of you. All right, come on, Siren.
So my first girl crush was Angelina Jolie. I mean, she was just perfection to me. She still is. And I can't remember what I saw first that really just like did it for me, but I remember just thinking she was so stunning and like calling it a girl crush and whatever, because I don't know, I was straight as far as I knew. But I'm very similar to you, Coco, in that I didn't come out until my late 20s, because I didn't know what I was. Nothing seemed to fit. None of the, I wasn't bisexual. I didn't have, I think women are beautiful and I want to like pet their hair and cuddle them and all this stuff, but I was not sexually attracted to women, so that didn't make sense and whatever. And surprisingly, a place that can be both good and bad, Tumblr. I was on Tumblr and I saw a post about being biromantic and I went, holy shit, that's it. That's me. That's what I am. So also that also ties into there isn't really a lot of queer media that I can relate to directly. I mean, of course, any bi media is, it's close enough for me. I'm like, okay, I like boys and girls. But being biromantic, and I saw Coco, you're kind of like, so I'll explain it. Yeah, because it's
yeah, because I'm like, that may be where I am, because it's like it's not boy girl, it's just like it's an energy. It's like I'm drawn to an energy and I don't care what the shell is, if that makes sense.
Right. I think it was kind of different. Like I said, I think for all of us, I think what's neat about this, that of being so generational. At the time when I was coming out, too, again, I was very sure of myself and I knew, but it was also, I knew my parents weren't accepting at the time, but I was also coming out in the 80s during the height of the AIDS epidemic. So there was that aspect of it going, if you were gay and you were having sex, that you were going to die at that time. And so that was their fear at that time when I was a teenager and out, and I was sexually active young. And queer media wasn't as out as it was. I remember I had a boyfriend I was dating at the time. First kind of book I was given, he gave me a book called The Joys of Gay Sex. So I remember going through the book and looking at the pictures the first time I ever heard what a rim job was. And, we're going to get spicy here and whatnot. There was those things you're like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that. I mean, you change your mind as you get older. But you do a lot more as you get older. But at that time, it was like, there was the stigmas of it. Yeah, I was very sure of myself, but there was also a very scary time because, that was, HIV and the AIDS epidemic was not the same. It wasn't, before, people were dying at that time. When I moved to New York City in 1993, people were still dying. And even the first time I was even exposed to people that were on any kind of drug cocktail or whatnot, or any preventative medicine, was in 97 when I lived in San Francisco. So it's neat to see people from a younger perspective talking about the media. A lot of us didn't have that same kind of media. We were hidden. I don't regret from the time where I came from, not at all. But at the same time, it wasn't as easy to be out at that time either. There was that as well. But I knew who I was, though.
Yeah, I think for our generation, it was real world. That was our first experience, was watching that, because we were, was I in high school? Yeah, I was in high school when that happened, like the very beginning of high school. And so that was my first experience.
Yeah, I was in my 20s when Real World came out. So that was, yeah.
Yeah, Real World San Francisco. That's when they really covered it with Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro.
And that damn pup.
The New Orleans season with Danny, that was a really big, huge, like even for myself, where he couldn't talk about it, right? Because of the military, and they had to blur out, his face and everything, which even kind of speaking to Pistol's point back before, when a lot of us were coming out, it was either you were gay, you were lesbian, or you were straight. we had to like put ourselves into one of those boxes. And so to Siren's point, I'm glad that you had that type of media and those resources to help you identify where you are on that spectrum. I wish it was something that I had when I was
I'm very lucky because there were, like I said, I was straight, quote unquote, for, all through high school, all my early 20s. And then there were years there where I would say that I didn't like labels. And that should have cued me in. That's, something was going on, because I would just say, oh, I just don't like labels. And the reason was because I didn't have one. I didn't have one that made sense to me. And so now that I have a label, I'm like, hell yeah, I love labels. Like, put one on everything. What are you? You only like, brunette girls and you like all men, you're a whatever, like it's great because you can have your little specific thing. And of course within every label there's there's a spectrum, right? Like I in my life, biromantic means that I would date both men and women or whoever, but I'm only sexually attracted to men. So I'm only romantically attracted to women. Like I'm not interested in them sexually. I see Coco being like, it's very interesting.
Yeah, those are the wheels. No, those are the wheels processing because I'm like, oh yay, men are pretty to look at, but I do want them around for like the masculine energy, but the thought of them touching me is like it takes a really special. I'm like, yeah, you can get it, but other than that, I'm like, you can just sit here and we can have an asexual relationship. Just keep your penis away from me.
Girl, that's fair. That's fair. That's honestly, unfortunately, that's the only part that's interesting to me. And I don't even want to. I don't want to see it. Honestly, let's just like if we could just get it in there as fast as possible, that'd be great. But but yeah, like women are women, man. Like women are beautiful, and I love them, and I want to look at them, and all of that. Like I said, I want to cuddle them, I want to kiss them on the face. But unfortunately, my body's like, well, we need that one appendage.
Not I, said the cat. Literally. And we're gonna go to our featured panelist, Waramono. Did I get it right? Please say I did. Yeah.
Yeah, watermelon. I am getting over a cold, so if I sound gross or I'm hawking up, like, but before I do my story thing, that's what they make toys for. You don't like no peeing, but you want it, like, that's what they got toys for. I got boxes and boxes of toys. But anyway, there wasn't really like a coming out moment for me necessarily. Like I was wearing glitter dresses and bullshit as a child, and it was fine. Nobody ever said anything. They were just like, yeah, that's just Waru. And then uh like media wise, I would say maybe Mulan because she was all gender fucky, and I was like, yes, that how do I I am both. And then after that was kind of like She's the Man was one of my favorite movies forever because I don't know if you've seen it, but it was like Lindsay Lohan dressing up as a boy to go to school. And it was amazing. And then after that, I saw Derek Barry for the first time, who's a Britney Spears impersonator. It was way before RuPaul was even a thing. And I was like, hey, what is this? Boy dressed up as girl getting paid? Gimme, gimme, gimme. So there was a lot of that. And then like in high school, I was kind of like just dating boys and girls. Like I never said anything. And they were just like, yeah, that's Waru. So I guess I'm kind of lucky in that aspect. And then when I did kind of like formally be like, guys, I didn't say queer at the time because queer wasn't like a word that I had for it, but I was just like gay because gay kind of encompassed everything. And everybody I knew was like, duh. But then when I went home and like told my parents, they suddenly had a big problem with it, which is weird because I was always like really like dressing up and just any gender, nobody cared. But as soon as I made it official, suddenly it was a big problem. And like to this day, I still don't talk to my family because they refuse to educate themselves. Um, and I guess in the long run, I'm intersex, and so there is like no existence of media in me everywhere, like anywhere. It just we're not real. Even in the queer community, the I is always left out. So I am a very loud person about that. So the very first time I saw like art of me represented, it was a really cool like rainbow sculpting painting thing, and it had like it was literally a rainbow, and then on one side you had a cis penis, and then the other side you had a cis vagina, and everything else that was in the middle. And it was the first time I'd ever seen anything that I could be like, that's me. Like I found me. I saw what I looked like. It was like mind blowing.
Yeah, there's that one episode in every medical drama.
I'm not hip. I don't watch TV.
Don't worry. Right now, my happy show is The Big Bang Theory, so that's not helping anyway because we still don't know what's going on with Sheldon. Nobody, like Penny said, what is his deal? And they're like, we don't know.
Yeah, pretty much that. Like even nowadays, I'm always like, hey, like only a couple years ago did I finally see the intersex flag at Pride. Literally, like maybe 2 years ago was the first time I saw it, and I was like, huh, y'all are finally getting around to it.
Since we're on that subject, can we define what intersex actually is for people? Again, I think there's people in our community that are afraid to actually even ask because they don't want to seem ignorant.
Yeah, I've actually got kind of a not really funny story about that. But so intersex in a very loose medical definition is you are not cis. Like your chromosomes are not XX or XY. It looks in a broad variety of ways. Like a lot of people never even know until they die. Like it doesn't look a certain way. There's not a way you can tell for some people. Like other people, like you can. So it's a broad like spectrum. And there's like women that can have children just fine, but then they also have like testicles. Like there's a lot. And so when I first moved to California, I was doing the hustle and getting booked, and I went to Hamburger Mary's, and I performed, and apparently all the queens were like scoping and looking, and they're like, we can't tell, like, is he trans? Do we see scars? Blah 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 blah. And I was like, y'all, that's gross. Like, don't be looking for somebody's scars. Like, if they're that gender, just fucking leave it at that. Like, it's really invasive, it's inappropriate, and just you're being nasty. And then they came up to me afterwards and they're like, oh, people are asking about this, that, and the other. Like, are you trans? I was like, no, but I'm intersex. And one of the queens was like, what's that? And so I told them, I was like, the chromosomes and whatnot. And she goes, oh, a hermaphrodite. And I was like, no, like, yes, but no, like, that's a slur. We don't use that anymore. And she was like, well, I'm going to because I'm of that era. And I was like, no, as the intersex person you're talking to, don't. And so to this day, she probably still does. But so it's like even in our queer community, people don't know and people don't respect us, and it's very irritating. Yeah, because there's not a lot in media. Like there is a couple books. There's a book called, oh gosh, I just gave it back to somebody. Something about both sexes or something. I tried to read it. It was a terrible book. Like it's cool if you want to educate yourself. It was so boring, but I don't remember what it was called because it was so boring and I didn't even finish it. But it's like, so I try to find these like people, and I try to find like uh bigger figures that more people can know and look up to, and it's just not there. And it's like I know we exist. Like we are as common as redheads, and we are as common as people with green eyes. And it was actually funny because right now in the political climate, everybody's like, test for the chromosomes, test for the chromosomes. They stopped testing for the chromosomes because lots of people were finding out they were intersex and nobody liked that. So it's like, we are around. Please go educate yourself.
Let them start testing again, because then it's going to make people realize like, oh, I'm getting something that I am. And maybe it'll start changing that narrative of, oh, this is a problem, this is different, this is wrong. Because how can you tell you? But then there'll probably be a lot of people, jumping off buildings because they had to fight who they are. And they're like, oh, because some people can't accept that realization of they are what they hate.
Yeah, and even that was kind of hard for me because I grew up I was very stealth about it and some people would talk shit all the time. They'd be like, oh, I know War was born a man. Oh, I know War was born a woman. Oh, I know his genitals was penis. Oh, I know his genitals was vagina. I'm like, which is it though? Because none of you actually know. Y'all are just fucking guessing at this point. So when I moved to California, I basically wrote a big old fuck you guys. And I was like, stop talking about people's junk. Like, y'all are nasty. I'm intersex. Go get smart. And then I was like, and then so I was out ever since then. And I'm not mad about being out now because now I'm a very loud advocate for it, kind of. But I'm mad about how it came about.
Of course. Hey, friends, that has been an amazing segment. But we need to take a break because I'm sure your ears are tired listening to us. So get a quick recharge and come back because we've got more to say.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
Hooray!
Hey.
Yeah.
It's
kind of Piper Laurie and Brenda Vaccaro had a love child.
Thank goodness.
I want to know
These
her.
nails. Yeah, where's her series? That's what
He's
I want.
fabulous.
The son is Joaquin Phoenix.
I know, isn't that nuts? And he is an ugly little kid. I'm sorry.
We're just like, hey, remember when this guy was in this obscure Broadway show in 1976?
Right? Look at him in those tight pants. Yum.
Well, because there's not
But
a
we
lot
do
really
get-
going on. It's
yeah.
supposed I mean, unless you're listening to the dialogue, which frankly, audience at home, you can do without us. We're just
Yeah, do
learning
your own
about
work,
some of these
damn it.
backstory. But
Right.
Boswell put her up to it.
Yeah.
And then Trish had to be killed because she realized that Boswell didn't have her interests at heart because Teddy was the inheritor.
Yeah.
Playing her like a fiddle.
Oswell knew it, and Trish just gulped it down like one of those martinis.
And then tossed it onto the law.
And then lost her head. Poor Trish.
Trish loses her head. This is Victor Devon.
And this is Petra Fried
And this is Tonight,
on Murder, She Wrote.
wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to WEView, part of the WeBurlesque network. We're going to discuss how your identity forms your performances, or do you allow it to form your performances? So, Siren, go friend.
Yeah, so I put together my first Bi Pride act in 2019, and I think it probably stemmed from the fact, of course, like I said, I'm biromantic, so like, of course, that's not technically coming across in the act, but as a kind of forgotten, part of the LGBTQIA, and as any bi person knows, we are also kind of the forgotten letter in general. I felt that I really wanted to show off those pink, blue, and purple colors, so I did start doing a bi act then, and since then I've just kept thinking, like, what else can I do? I sing Janelle Monáe's "Make Me Feel" because that video is one of the most bi things I've ever seen, and I love it. So if you know, you know. So if I'm singing it and people get it, it's like, heck yeah, I'm bi and I'm showing it off. I think that it absolutely informs what I do. There's, certain performances. I sing "Boyfriend" by Dove Cameron, and that song is very girl on girl lovey. And sometimes I get frustrated because I'm in the bar and there's only men in the front row, and I'm like, this song isn't for you. I need girls to flirt with. Like, I gotta flirt with some girls. But yeah, I absolutely, like, my sexuality definitely informs my performance all the time. Like I said, like, who I'm flirting with, is it boys, is it girls, is it everybody? And yeah, absolutely, it's really important to me.
Warren Mono.
I actually, Denver Pride many years ago was the first time I debuted anything that said I was intersex publicly. I have an act where it talks about my life, like the shit I got to go through, and at the very end I pull out the intersex flag, and like, if you know, you know, and everybody that did know is kind of like, oh my God, he said something. Because I had never said it, and to say it on the stage of Denver Pride, Denver is massive. Like, their pride is huge. So I do that, and then that's my, like, big one, pretty much, that I don't pull out very often because it's not a happy act. It's very much like I pull out the stats of, like, 1 out of 2 people don't make it to 30. Like, fucking, it's very depressing, but I think it's important to be said, so I'll pull it out every now and then. Usually for a Pride show, if they have 2 numbers, because I'm like, let me do this one because it's important to talk about it, but also let me do a happy number after that. That's just like, I have another one that's just like very queer, and it's like rainbows, confetti, yay! But other than that, there's just a lot of my platform. I use a lot of, like, postings about it, but I don't really put it in most of my other acts because it's pretty much like when you see me, my whole tagline is gender fuckery at its finest. And I tell people, I'm like, I do drag and burlesque kind of, but like not any which way for certain. Like, I'm not a queen. I consider myself a king mostly, but I still do really femme because I'm like Men can have titties. Like, why not do drag? Why not have nails? You can still be a man. So that's just kind of like my daily to go to anyways. It's not necessarily loud in your face, but like it's there because I exist in general.
All right, Harpy.
Oh gosh. Well, I feel this is what I feel, right? As a queer individual. Every act I create is literally it's gonna be a gay act because I'm gay. So you're getting gay or queer or weird. You guys have seen my stuff. You already know what I do. And so I just make the second that I make an act, it's automatically gay because I am representing that. So it doesn't, I don't know, I don't have any set acts. I only have one act that really announces. I pull a little flag out of my pants and we say, yay, we're here. But why are you making that face? That's because I don't pinpoint anything for it because the second that I'm on the stage with my identity, the identity doesn't go away. I'm not going to pretend to be a straight person. I did that for 10 years. So you're not getting a straight act. Every act is going to be queer. The chicken act is queer. The fairy act is queer. Every act they do is queer because I'm queer. And that's what you get. We're not going back into the closet, damn it.
Got too much shit in the closet anyway. Hell, I need to clean it out.
Don't remind me. Thanks for helping me with that.
Yay! Right. Pistol, you took a drink of water. I feel like you're ready to go, friend.
Yes, this is kind of a loaded question. Again, just from the aspect of I've been involved in entertainment for 30 plus years now. And burlesque has been in the last 10, 11 years. I think in every aspect, our own experiences we do bring into whatever we're playing or character we're playing. They don't exist without our own personal experiences. So by that, innately, everything I do, of course, my queer experiences do contribute to my performances. By going out of my way to, oh my God, this is a queer piece, this is that. No, because I am queer. I live it. I live it in every aspect. I go try to do with every character I create to be true to what character and what their motivations are. That comes from being in burlesque. I mean, I was a ballet dancer, yes, very much so. You being in your tights and you see everything. Yeah, I knew, first it was about the art form and the training, but my queer presence and stuff with it, they're always going to be there. As an actor, I've played heterosexual roles. I've even been mistaken for being by our own community in the last couple of years. I was people that mistake me for being straight and white, which I never represent those communities. I'm brown and gay. I have been my entire life. I've been out since I was 17. I've been on my own since I was 17. So every experience, every performance I do is going to have innately that what I bring to it in my experiences as a queer man. Can I play characters? Can I play characters that don't identify as queer? Yes, but it still doesn't take away from what I'm bringing to make those characters real. It goes across the spectrum as human beings that we do all feel those same emotions, those same things. Our experiences are different because of, whatever identity we are in our queer community. But again, I don't know if there's any piece that I've done that's like, well, this is specifically for this. I've redone pieces that, they're obviously queer. I recently, I performed at Tees, and I redid a number that they asked for. I did The Devil Went Down to Georgia, and I obviously play the devil as a top gay man, and the cowboy as the bottom playing the fiddle with his ass. So it's one of those, yes, you can obviously tell that this is a gay man bringing that perspective. It'd probably be odd for a straight dude doing that on stage. We'd probably be like, dude, I know you don't like that. Yeah, no, that's not your deal. But so I don't know. I always think from my perspective of is performance first, but of course in our performances and organically, what we bring is through our own experiences. And I think that's, as an artist, what makes us better artists is to encompass that and represent that in every way we can for everybody out there. I almost feel like as I'm getting older, I think just being a gay man, we're almost considered Mormon compared to to everything. Like we may as well be Mormon. You're just passe, you're just a regular gay queer dude. And again, I've also been in face. I've also been in drag. I've done drag. I've done all the things. It's just how I express myself at the time. Again, it's just one of those things that, yeah, no matter what I do is going to have some kind of queer influence because that's who I am. And as an artist, we always bring ourselves into what we create with arts. And I don't have any other choice but to have it be inclusive of what I do. That's it.
Your Devil Goes Down to Georgia reference is actually kind of interesting because I don't know if like you intended this in your act or whatever, but queer people are often villainized as the bad one. And like all in a bunch of media, the queer person is always the villain. Like they're not really queer, but like they kind of are. Like Scar is not not queer.
You're right. A
And so
Jafar.
yeah, and so like my whole brand is actually I'm all the cartoon characters that people said were too queer, and so I'm like Watermono literally means bad guy. So that's like kind of me. Yeah, so that's me taking it back and be like, yeah, y'all thought we were bad, but look at how hot we are.
That's right. And there was part of the thing from that generation too. I remember part of growing up in the early 90s when I was living in New York City and doing all the fun things you do in your early 20s in New York City. And part of the things of that time period where you felt a little rebellious. It was cool to go to the gay bars. It was weird, cool to do those things because you felt like a rebel, at that time. You felt villainous. It made it kind of hotter too. I mean, sex was hotter. Everything was a little hotter because you felt like you were doing something bad. I mean, I'm not going to say I never had great sex because I thought it was like because gay sex was great. It was hot. It was bad. It was naughty. I miss that. So there's that. I miss the old again, and nothing against what has happened in the world now. I'm just also not the gay dude. Again, and this is not against anybody. I don't want anybody to feel like it's not inclusive of everybody, but I'm not the person who wants to go to Pride and see people with their baby strollers. I'm not. I want that naughty Pride. I want people with schlongs that you can see through the things. You can see titties out. I'm
Yeah,
that
that's
dude.
like kink is
But
a big part of
okay,
Pride.
I miss that kind
Yeah,
of Pride. I miss that. Yeah, I'm going to go to Pride. I'm going to get a little toasted and I'm going to get laid.
because BDSM is also a
I miss
massive part
those
of Pride. Like kink and queer go together a lot, and so same thing. Like I want to see the bondage and the history and the hankies.
Oh,
Like
absolutely. I lived in San Francisco. I went to my first Folsom Street Fair out there in '97. It was just one of those, I felt home. I miss that kind of naughtiness to it. I think I think sometimes it's missing. Yeah. I miss it. I don't know. When do people just want to fuck again? God damn it.
We'll get it back. But
Good.
so Valdez, yes, it's coming. It's coming. Our time will be soon. All right, Valdez, what about you?
Um, so before I even go into this too, it's weird. This conversation and honestly, just in this moment has really kind of forced me to kind of unpack some stuff about myself. When we talked about this question, so I'm sorry, I apologize if it's gonna get heavy, but I promise I'll circle it back. But um, so with my performance style and how my identity is, it's a very big spectrum. I've always told people that like my queerness can kind of vary on where it's at. Like I always use the example of, I am the biggest F slur on the face of the planet. Um, I will change your tire on your car, but these nails will be perfectly manicured when I do it. Right. I've got that kind of spectrum, and it's just how I live my everyday life. But in my performance style, I think it's very I play to my audience. I'm a businessman at the end of the day, right? So depending on the venues that I'm in, I guess that's going to determine like which acts I'm going to bring and how my performance style is going to be. I do have a few more acts that I've just done recently that are a little bit more on the queer campy side with the giving them the cat get a cat kind of situation in that. And then I have some other ones that are very, very masculine presenting and very just kind of straight guy-ish to that point. So I play to the audience because I want to make my money, right? So I'm going to give the cat in all the queer spaces. And then my biggest demographic, who are my biggest fans, are middle-aged white women. So I will give them a little bit more of the masculine presenting acts. And so during this conversation, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is it because I'm a businessman? But I'm looking at it, and I think it comes more from a place of survival. just based off of previous experience. I've been the victim of a gay bashing. So I know what it's like being in those kinds of spaces, and I don't want to give a more flamboyant, like gay ass number in a more straight venue because I don't want to have to deal with what's going to happen after that. Right? I don't want to be called those names in the middle of a show where I'm trying to make some money. So I'll butch it up in those spaces if I have to. And I think it's also that kind of generational thing too, that where me coming out in like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was still taboo. It was still very unsafe to walk the streets as a gay person. And so code switching like that when it comes to my performance style now, like I said, and thank you for this conversation because this has really kind of forced me to unpack that and realize, is that why I do that? I think that is. But I did see we mentioned Scar, and I didn't realize that my Scar act is actually probably one of the gayest numbers that I do.
Yeah.
You guys are mentioning my man. I'm super excited.
Scar is the ultimate Disney villain in my book. I mean, there is nothing more.
Like, I also do him from Powerpuff Girls, because what the fuck is that?
Also, Loki.
And like
Loki, just so queer-coded and fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
loves of my life.
But yeah, so I think I honestly encompass all of you, which is because I'm an anomaly. I accept it. What you see is never what you're going to get. I don't have a flamboyant queer act because I don't like labels. I don't want you to tell me I don't fit. I will never ever fit into a box. I love Disney and I love wrestling. They don't match on any spectrum. So it's like, yeah, but like and again, coming out and being a Black woman from North Memphis, which is like the hood. Oh no, you wouldn't dare say that you like the same sex. And it was actually like Valdez unpacking. I don't like the D word. I hate it, loathe it, because when my mother would get mad at me, she would say, oh, you're going to grow up to be a D. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, the most prissy thing there is. And I'm like, but that's another reason why I say words have power. She kept saying it and kept saying it. I'm like, well, look what you did. Now I got an ex-wife. But yeah, so I do have one act, it is my newest act, my Disney adult act. And I have a shirt that I got from Paris Disney that has the Mickey Mouse head, but it has all of our colors inside of it. Yeah, Disney, it's not Disney, it's Bob Iger. That's a whole nother problem. He's the problem with Disney. We're trying to get rid of him. It's happening. But Disney refused to don't say gay. They refused to do it. That's why DeSantos tried to sue them. Their Pride collection is really big. They're really big about making sure that Disney is a safe space for queer people, making sure there's representation. They just released their Pride line, and they don't do it to pander. They do it because Disney is supposed to be a safe space for everyone. And when they announced the new park, all of the queer people got upset. But on the flip side, it is not owned by Disney. It is franchised by Disney. So technically, it's not a Disney park because we can't go to Abu Dhabi. I can't go. None of us in this room can go. Even with my passing privilege, it doesn't feel right. It's not safe. That's not Disney. That is just a way for Bob Iger to make more money and pander to us, which is one of our topics, is how industries pander to us and trying to take our money. Target is grasping at straws right now. They released their Pride line and it is an insult. So they insulted Black people after they lost us. Now they're down to insulting queer people because they've lost so many millions, and the CEO had to take a 50% pay cut because he lost so much money rolling back the DEI, and they're trying to get us back with queer, and they're using the tropes. They have this little U-Haul toy, and they have these two birds. One is called Gal and Pal.
With the bird.
None of their merchandise says queer. It all says like acceptance. It's really, you will not see pride. You won't see the word queer. They're like trying to push it in there without pushing it in there. So now I want to hear some of your thoughts on the corporate bullshit that we have to take. Because I haven't, I opened my email this morning and I didn't have as many ads as I had last year. And I know that's because of what's going on. Everybody's scared, but Disney's like, here you go, bitches, here's your merchandise. So, Valdez, how do you feel about the corporations trying to take the few pennies that we have? I had my Disney rant, so it's your turn.
Oh Lord, I don't know how much time we have. I like to say, if they were any type of bear, I would call them a panda bear, because that's literally all it is. Like I know we were sent some information about, and it was a tweet or a post or something that said, we should really be standing by these corporations that are, standing up this month, and taking that stand. And while I can agree in that instance that, yeah, you're taking a stand, my question is, where are you the other 11 months of the year? Like, that's cool that you want to, like, gay is okay, but, like, why not in January, right? Like, I need a gay ass hoodie and a gay ass sweatsuit. Like, why is there not one available? Why do I have to shop for that shit online?
And that's what I love about Disney. You can go into that park at any time. There's your merch. Even with your little photo passes, you can take with the Pride Mickey ears. It's 365.
I had to get off the Facebook the other day too. This is yesterday actually, because I'm starting to see all the ads for all of these local bars downtown here in Colorado Springs that are hosting their Pride Night, Pride Alley. And I'm like, do you remember when my gay ass reached out to you and asked if I could put my gay ass show in your bar, and you said, no, we don't think we have the audience for that? Like, now
They have pride.
I'm like,
especially the Springs. The Springs is so red.
Party City rainbow boas that you bought that are going to make a mess everywhere, and you're going to have all of these cis het white girls running around and going, oh my God, it's Pride season, and then making out with each other for attention. And it's, sorry, I get a little bit heated about that, but yeah, that's how I feel about that.
All right, Pistol, tag in, friend.
All right, again, I can't agree with him more than 1,000% on so many things. As a business owner and a venue owner, I actually do less events during Pride than I do in the rest of the year, because again, I'm like, my biggest thing during Pride month is like, we're proud all year long. I'm gay all year long. We represent all year long, and so it's just, again, as Alex is saying, I live in a very red part of the country as well, and it's how many times in the last 5 to 10 years have I seen other businesses that all of a sudden have their logos with the rainbow flag and whatnot. And even again, I'll even say that even within our own community, when you see the social media and whatnot, there's so many people all of a sudden are so queer, so this, so that. And I'm not one to judge anybody's queerness or levels of their queerness or whatnot, but it also seems very convenient to me, to some of the people that are doing it. Some of the people that are using, I feel, our community and for their profit and money. Yeah, I'm a capitalist. I'm a businessman, absolutely. But again, I deliberately have moved my Queer as Fuck show. I used to do it here in Texas first during Pride Month, and then I've even been attacked by our own community too. I had a couple of performers a few years ago that accused me of misgendering. That didn't happen. Alex can even attest for it, even when that all happened here in Amarillo. But then I moved, I deliberately do my Queer as Fuck show in months that aren't ideally considered Pride months elsewhere in Vegas and whatnot, just for the simple fact that I don't need a month to, I feel it's been taken away so much from those of us that know why Pride exists and, what it's about. And now, again, you get tired. Again, I run a bar that it's queer owned, but do I identify as a queer bar? No, not really. We're just that bar that's for everybody. But again, there's so many businesses and so many things when I see, and now you have a rainbow flag on your logo, and then they don't even book queer performers for their shows or queer identifying people for their shows. It's like, it's just the same local band that plays all year long. None of them are queer, but okay, I guess it's for Pride. Again, I get capitalism. I get it as a businessman. I've never had to depend on my queerness for it, but just because, again, I get, it bothers me to see a lot of different things. I've had people that live here where I live in Amarillo, Texas, that have gone to other cities and they're like, oh my gosh, I went to this bar. It's the first time I ever saw gender neutral restrooms. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I've had those for years. I just didn't have to go online and be like, look at me. I have gender neutral restrooms. I just have them. I'm not doing it. And I'm not queer to make a statement. I just am. And that to me, I see a lot of it in our communities. A lot of people, again, I'll say it in our burlesque community, sometimes it seems to be a little convenient. And I'm not doubting their queerness. I don't need to see a dude suck another dude's dick or prove to me that you're queer. Again, because that was an argument I had in the last people when people assumed that I was straight. Like, what do I have to do to prove to you that I'm queer and brown? Do I have to, honestly? But I've lived that way my entire life. And when I see other people that I'm like, I've never seen really identify as queer or do anything that I think, but all of a sudden, it seems that for so many, it is convenient, for so many businesses, for so many people, because it's cool and it's trendy. And so I'm not going to judge them on it, but sometimes it makes me doubt. It makes me wonder, are you really an advocate, or are you doing this because it makes you look good on your socials? I've never been one to go out of my way to try to look good on my socials. I live my truth as well as I can. I'm not pandering to anybody. I don't care if people like me or dislike me. I can only be myself. And when I see those things, I know where he lives, and even within our own communities, here in our community in Amarillo, Texas, none of the queer communities get along. Pride is fractured by different organizations that have run them, and they all hate each other. That happens. I know that happens in the Springs too. Especially with what happened at Club Q a few years ago and whatnot. And the community there is completely divided, and for good reasons. And I get why they are. But again, it's at the same time, I see it opens opportunities for people that aren't really part of our communities to kind of take advantage of us sometimes. It's because they see. Again, I think sometimes the other side wins because they're breaking us apart and we're not sticking in some kind of solidarity. But again, sometimes it's very difficult to know who's actually the people that are really on our side because it's become so commercialized. Again, I'm glad that society, it's more accepted, even though it's a more dangerous time for exception and whatnot. And you see these businesses that you're like, well, I don't know. Nowadays, sometimes when I see a random business that all of a sudden has a rainbow flag on their logo for that month, I almost deliberately don't go to it because I'm like, I don't see you doing that the rest of the year. Now it's okay. I don't need that. I've had businesses that have wanted to kind of let's collaborate together, and I don't, because I'm like, I don't need to do that with you. I don't need that because we already are that. And so I don't know. I don't know the right answer to solve this. But it is infuriating sometimes. It is. That's all I have.
Sadly, there's no right answer because I've just accepted that people are greedy and they see money and they want it by any means necessary. Because I have no pride gigs. None. Because I guess I'm not flamboyant enough. I'm not throwing beads. I don't need to. Because if I have to, in my personal opinion, and I have to shout it from the rooftops that, as Harpy says, I slam clams, I'm not doing it right. And it's not, I don't need to scream. I don't want to scream it. For me, as a Black woman in the South, it ain't safe. It ain't safe. There's so much that I risk losing, from my job to my child, to my grandchild. It just ain't worth it. And if that means I don't make $57 this month, fuck it. Yeah, I said it. Not paying enough for me to get out there and risk my life.
You're not out enough. Yeah.
But yeah, people love it. And like I'm looking around my place and I'm like, I don't own any rainbow crap. And I say rainbow crap, yes, it's gonna offend some people. I'm 43-year-old. I don't need a rainbow to tell myself I'm queer. Look at my toy box, you'll know. But yeah, I don't own the rainbow stuff other than that Disney shirt, just because, one, it was pink, it was at Disney, and it was in Paris. And I'm like, and it was on clearance. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was on sale. And I loved it. So I grabbed it. But yeah, even like the queer Stitch, I don't want them.
Right.
Go for it, Siren. You saw that same thing too?
I gotta yell about Target. I have to yell about Target. I gotta yell about. Okay, so the thing is, back when Target was not being shitty, they had a good Pride collection. They donated to Trevor Project. The stuff was cute and stylish and interesting and gay. Like, the shirt that said like thinking about girls and it was obviously made by queer people or informed by queer people. Even the dollar spot, I have a huge rainbow flag that I've had for years from there. I mean, they sold full size rainbow, bi flags, trans flags, like they were full in it. And then they went conservative or whatever. And now their quote unquote pride collection is trash. It's terrible. It's trash. It's just like a couple stripes on a shirt that aren't even rainbow. Like I don't know what they think they're trying to do, but referring to that post that Mr. Valdez was talking about where they said, oh, we should celebrate anyone who's representing pride in this time because it's dangerous. Like, no, because if it's lazy, it's fucking lazy. I don't want your quote unquote support if it's just lazy consumerism. I want you to,
It's performative. It's just, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. It's just like, oh, here.
It's capitalistic.
Yeah, like here, you little queer.
That's all June is now, is capitalistic, and it even flows into Juneteenth. It's like, how can I make $1 at this point?
She's right. Target was one of the first businesses that let people put their preferred pronouns on their name tags, and I was very upset when they went like that. I was like, really? Like, but not a lot of people know that about Target, but like I had a lot of friends that were working for Target, like not even on hormones or anything, and they were allowed to do that. So it's really disappointing.
How the mighty have fallen.
And they have crashed and burned. We just got to if we can push them through June, I think now that he's losing his actual personal money and the board is suing him, like he's going to have to sit with himself and like, I screwed up bad. I have to fix this, and not in the pandering way, because he's already tried to pander to Black people with the shirt that said, thank you, Black women, bitch, fuck you.
Yeah. You preach, bro. Like,
so yeah, we'll see what happens this month with June with Target.
Or even another thing, I'll be honest, I kind of hypothetically came up with a shirt that I wanted to wear that says, again, it's one of those, it's nothing against what anyone wants. I'm like, I'm that guy that's like, not every homo needs a hug. Back the fuck off. I'm like, everyone tries to make us seem like we're so weak and so this. I'm not. I'm like, pride is pride. I'm very happy with who I am and whatnot. I don't need you to hug me because you think I've suffered.
Yeah, don't touch me.
Everyone always victimizes us too. I'm like, I don't need you to hug me to make it okay. I'm fine. There's that. I do want a shirt that says that not every homo needs a hug. Back off.
Make me one too, and then just put my cash on there.
I'll make it. You got it. I'll make us both one.
Girl. You got it. That'll learn them. But
you got it. Not every homo needs a hug.
Not every homo needs a hug. We need money. Yes.
Thank you. I'll take some money.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this segment up with final thoughts. Harpy, do you have any final thoughts
about capitalism during Pride? It's shitty. It's shitty from an adult perspective, but from a parental perspective, because 2 out of the 3 of my kids are queer. It's nice that they can have instant access to their genders that they identify as, but I don't want to see it at a festival. I don't want to see corporations doing anything if they're not going to be consistent all year long. But I love that there is something there for the kids who don't have to go in the closet and hide. There is no right answer.
There isn't.
So that
at every point we lose. And like a lot of us, I'm sure people are going to get mad at us for saying we don't like these pride shows. Fuck off. 20-somethings, 30-somethings. We are grown fucking adults. We don't need to scream it. We are tired and we want a nap. And money. Always money. All right, so we're going to get our last bit of information from our featured panelist. Waramono, and then we're going to head into a break because we've been talking and queer people need hydration.
Hi, I'm Jen Ponton.
And I'm Lillian Bustle.
And we're the hosts of All the Fucks,
a podcast about vulnerability.
But it's more than just that. It's nostalgia.
It's unrequited crushes.
It's the mortifying moments that make you want to crawl back inside your own belly button.
Ooh, and somehow it's sometimes about pelicans.
A pelican allegory, if you will.
Oh, I will.
So if your heart has ever felt like a skinned knee,
oh, you'll fit right in as one of our fuck buddies.
All the Fucks. A storytelling podcast wherever you listen.
Welcome back to WEView, part of the WeBurlesque network. Now we're going to get into our featured panelist, Waramono.
I'm actually just going to roll it into representation for all sorts of people. Whilst I identify as a king, there's also so many more layers to genders that are not involved. So it's going to be more everything. But in general, one of the things that makes me incredibly irate is these fucking pride lineups that have 14 goddamn queens. And I'm like, not a single king. Like, it's not like we don't exist. What the fuck are you doing? And so the only time I ever see kings in shows are when we're producing them, like a king run show. And I'm like so irritated by that, especially also like if they do have a king, it's one single king. I'm like, you got 11 queens and you can only have one king, like you ain't looking hard enough. And I always tell, because I'm also a producer and I produce many shows, one of my other ones I'm co-producing with a couple of people, and I'm always like, if you can't find somebody in that minority, you fucking get out the door and you go, like, if you're not getting an application, you go find somebody and ask them personally. Like we do a Rocky show, and we were talking about another like Rocky show that has like, you know, the guy in the wheelchair or whatever. And they were like, how do you feel about us doing that? And I was like, no, unless if we actually go find a performer. I know a performer in a wheelchair. Let's go fucking ask her. Like, either don't do that or get your ass out the door and go fucking find one. Like, they're out there. And just because they're not applying, it's because A, we probably aren't getting the same opportunities and we're not seeing those fucking applications. We're not seeing the flyers because we're already pushed down. Like, unless if we're in those circles, we're not going to see it. So that's a rant on that, is the whole 10,000 queens and not a king. It's really very irritating. And then on top of that, kind of like side rolling after that, is my main show I produce is called Transformative, and I exclusively cast non-cisgender people for the most part. Every now and then I'll find like one that's not, but I do that, and I do that year round because we still have those opportunities. Like January through December, we don't get those opportunities. I see all these show things and I don't ever see trans people. In the drag community, I guess it's a little more like you see a lot of trans women. But specifically in burlesque, because I'm more in the burlesque scene, I'm like, where are all the trans people? Not a single one ever. Like, come on. This just makes me wildly irate. I don't know if anybody has like things they want to chime in also about that, but my biggest peeve is definitely not having a fucking cast of non-cis people.
Well, it was just announced that there is a new Kings reality show.
I did see that.
It's coming out, and two of those Kings, well, Percocets, used to be in Atlanta, but I don't know where he is now. He lives all over the place. And then there's another. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Okay. Then there's another local king here, Pressure K, if I'm not mistaken, that have been cast. But even in that, like, yay, I'm glad that there's representation. But why is there only, like, if I'm not mistaken, only 8 of them? Like, you couldn't find more than 8?
And like my thing about that is, granted, I've only seen it in passing, so I don't totally know what's going on with it yet. But like I said before, when there's kings involved, it's made by kings. Who's producing this show? Probably kings.
All right. right, Siren, what's your take?
I'm so excited to talk about this. As a king, I also I do burlesque, also do live singing, drag king, and yeah, it's impossible to find gigs. Like honestly, I have to consistently reach out to people if I see a any kind of ad for a show, and I always have to go, hey, do you want kings? Hey, do you want kings? Do you want, it's me having to bother people. No one's ever coming to me and, no one's ever saying, oh, hey, I've seen, it's not like I don't have videos, all over my Instagram, they're peppered in there, and I just did Henderson Pride a couple weeks ago, and they specifically did look for kings. There was a little segment where there were supposed to be 4 kings. It ended up only being 2, but it was a little king segment. I was like, okay, so they did make an effort, which was nice. But yeah, no one's ever like, oh, hey, a king.
No.
Yeah, let's do,
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. I mean, I've been doing this for shout out to Mr. Big Stewart, my friend, who convinced me to do a drag king act back in 2019. But since 2019, I think I've performed as Don Cockwood, my drag king persona, 6 times. Where I've done dozens and dozens and dozens of female presenting burlesque acts. I understand you fully.
Right. And then especially I have applied to burlesque shows, and I have straight up been told the audience doesn't want to see that. Like, actually, every time I perform in these, especially in Hollywood, there's an awful lot of cis, skinny white women, and
That love it. And like you said, you do it with like the nails, and that's me too. Like I look like an Italian guy, and then I take off my shirt and I'm oops,
right.
It's like someone's gonna get something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and so for these shows, every time I'm in one, and they'll say like, "Oh, we're not casting you this time because the audience doesn't want to see that," blah blah blah. And I'm like, every time I am cast in a show, I specifically get audience members coming up to me saying, "Thank you for being here. I love that you were different. I love that I love that I got to see something." Even new people are like, "Wow, I've never seen that before. I fucking love it." So I'm like, your audience does want to see it. Y'all just don't want to book us.
Yeah, they're just afraid of the same way it is with Black burlesque. If they book too many, they have to step their game up. They can't be mediocre. They can't be mediocre. I said it, Pistol. My mouth, I said it. But yeah, and it's like I like Camp Wanakiki. I hate that it has not gotten the push that it deserves, because that was my first experience seeing drag kings compete with drag queens. And again, the drag queens had to step their fucking game up, because the kings, they came here to fucking, they didn't come there to hee-haw.
The thing about that is kings have to work 5 times as hard to get paid 5 times as less. Because I'm like, the kings got to go fucking big ass costumes. Like Ryan says, this and the other. Meanwhile, like some queens can just throw on a dress and they're cute. And then people, yeah. And I'm like, not that that's not valid, but that we literally have to try so much harder in order to even be a blip on somebody's mind, and then we're still getting paid not enough. Like when I perform, I've had people walk away and like only come back when the queens are back on stage, and I'm like, I am not the halftime break. I am the show.
But and again, I agree with Coco. And people, they have to step up their game. They should be doing that anyway. And what's again, also it's unfair. You see that too, because a lot of us that are gig performers, we multi-gig. So for kings, it's even less because one, they're not hiring them enough, so they're very far and few between, and they don't get the ability to multi-gig either. Like like Ornament was saying, is one of those like queens can just throw on a wig and dress and walk around and get their tips. You have to work harder as a king, and I've seen that. I have totally seen that. And Coco, you relate to that as for Black women too. It's one of those, you have to work harder. You have to be on the par, or else again, it's just one of those things, and it's not right. It's like, yeah, people don't see the inequality in that. Again, the whole thing with kings, I've never had an issue hiring kings, even in this part of the country. I've been very fortunate that I'm able to find performers from people that are close by. And I'm also one of those things about people stepping into the game. I do want my kings to be superbly talented and bring it on the stage. And for the most part, generally they do because they have to work so much harder. And I'm always about that. I'm always about the people that are stepping up their game. I'm on a stage full of some badasses. I ain't gonna lie. And kings tend to actually bring that kind of quality to the stage because they have to work so hard. It's just the conundrum of people not even giving it. They think their audiences don't want it. I'm like, I think audiences want to be entertained, and those kings usually are pretty much, are badasses, and everyone else has to step up the game because they're on that stage. So for that, again, I am that person. I like people to be awesome. I want to be like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to go on after that. They're fucking awesome. And the kings I have hired, I will say 99.9% of the time, that is how it's felt. They have been amazing. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I'll shut the fuck up.
I had $1 for every time I was told, oh, do you do any non-singing acts? Because we already have a singer. Because apparently you can't hire more than one singer, or $1 for every time, oh, well, we already have a drag king. I would make more money than the gigs I have to drag king.
And I've seen 2 of the 6 times you performed as a king. And that's what's crazy. When you said only 6 times since 2019, I'm like, and I've been at 2 of them. Actually, probably 3, because we were in 2 shows together when you were a king, and I've seen you when I wasn't in the show. So I've seen 3 of those 6. That's crazy. Wow.
Pistol's a fan.
I am a fan.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, here in Atlanta, there is a producer. It's a drag queen, Tucker Alexander. They do an amazing job of pushing the drag kings here. They have open stages, they have competitions, they have their own nights. And it's if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, I should probably Google it, but it's a weekly show for the kings here in Atlanta. So, and even as a drag queen, Tucker understands that, hey, this is a place that needs to be pushed. So I'm here for it.
Feel a certain way about competitions also from a king perspective.
Yeah, I'm not a competitor. I can train you for a competition, but I'm not going to compete. I'm not. It's not my brain.
Yeah, because I used to do a bunch of competitions, and then I very quickly realized because I'm a king, I'm not going to get paid, I'm not going to get cheers, and I'm not going to win. And so I'm like, I can't let that affect me, that telling me that my stuff is not good, because I know I'm good. I'm not the best, I can still learn, but I've been doing this for 2.5 decades. I know I'm good at what I do.
Right. You know your ministry. Competitions is not our ministry.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's super unfortunate, because a lot of the times I see also the only time you'll see kings is those, because they're not getting booked regularly. And then because of that, you'll see these amazing performers in competitions not getting paid because they've practiced and practiced and practiced and still not winning. And it's not because their act isn't good.
It's because it's not the narrative that people want to push.
I did lose to a king at the Hollywood Burlesque Festival when I met Victor. A king did win the category I won, and they were awesome. And now it is, when you see it, it's fantastic. Again, I can't put myself in your shoes as kings because that's not my experience. But again, it does, in my experience, working with any kings, competing with any, or even booking them, like I said, 99.9% of the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. And not just because it's different, just because what they bring fucking skills to the stage. They fucking bring it. And I love that.
But again, it's because we have to.
That too, yeah. That too, but
I do also see what Victor posted that I think is also another very important thing to point out. The reason kings are dismissed is because most of them are AFAB, and it's all tied in with misogyny. It just straight up is, because the queens are still, not all of them obviously because there's trans queens, but they're still men. So they're still a step above. And you just see that reflected in who's getting booked an awful lot. And that's why kings have been pushed down and not noticed. And a lot of people don't even know kings are a thing.
All right, Valdez, what is your take, friend?
I think as far as the representation in different shows, it's not that hard. It's really not. And Waru made some really good comments there of, well, if you can't find diverse performers, come find me. Right, and we'll go find them, because I know someone, and it's just very disheartening. Still seeing in 2025, all of these shows that all look the same, and all of these show posters that copy and paste people on them, and it shouldn't be that hard, right? And I think I had made a Facebook post about it like about a month or so ago that was like, at this point, it's not for a lack of resource, it's a lack of wanting to. And that's something that people need to sit with their God about, and kind of unpack that for themselves, because there's just no excuse for it at this point. I know with my show that I produce, I strive to make it the most diverse show that I possibly can. To even points, like I personally, I don't perform in my own shows as much because I want to give spots to more representation, and I want my show to be a safe space for when audience members come to my show. I want every person in that room to see themselves reflected in some way, shape, or form on that stage, and to feel a part of the experience, right? I don't want them to look at people on the stage and go, oh my gosh, I can never do that because I don't look like that. I want them to see people who look like them. I want people who walk like them, talk like them, to be on that stage. I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far at this point. Because Lord, it's not hard, right? Like I said,
it's not rocket science. It's not. All right, Harvey, bring us home.
Bringing it home with it's a shame that kings are not still getting the appropriate representation, because there are so many excellent, powerful kings, and it's lazy as a producer to not want to have a smorgasbord of experiences for your audience, because people are paying money, and as you know, your $20-$30 tickets to go to a show, why would you want them to be bored? Why would you want them to have their phones out? Why wouldn't you want, especially as a pride event, when all genders is a spectrum, where is that representation? You can't say it's for everybody, but then have the same 6 skinny blonde queens lip syncing the same song.
Or even not even that. It's like every year you see the same people on the poster.
Yes, the same people.
It is so gate kept. It's like, oh, now's the time to book all my friends. I said it. Don't care anymore.
And we have a really strong king community out here, like a lot of drag kings. I want to say maybe 9 or 10, possibly 12. I'm off count. But you're not seeing them at all of these shows because everybody's doing drag brunches now, and everybody's having a show every Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. But these kings aren't getting booked. They had to create their own collective and start producing their own stuff. And that's a disservice for as a queer community in itself. As an art community, it's a disservice that you don't want to put that out there, and so we have to create our own seat at the table. I'm saying me like I'm a king, not a king. It's frustrating.
But that's the thing we've had to do as queer people, as Black people. We had to create our own fucking tables, because there would be nothing if we didn't put it out there first, because people are afraid, they don't want it, they don't think it's going to make money. But then the minute we build the table, we lose the table.
Yeah, and that it also ties into the whole thing that we had to make our own spaces because we have to be seen, but also because of that, we don't sell as many tickets because we're just not in that eye. And so then people say, oh, you guys suck, nobody wants to see that. And I'm like, no, it's because all y'all that say you're allies aren't busting your ass to help us.
Yep, you only show up during June, and in that June, it's only for what you want to do. It's only for your friend that you just saw on Thursday. You sit down, that bitch will be on next Thursday.
Yeah. And that's like the whole family thing too. They're like, I've had people approach me way back in Denver that are like, I want you to be in my drag family. And I was like, no offense, but what are you going to teach me? I am not going to be your student, your child, your son, if you aren't going to show me something. I'm like, sure, having a name
or they
in a
just want to
family.
profit off of your talent.
Because I'm like, as a family, it looks cool to have so many people with your name, but all you're doing is beefing up your name because you want that cred. And so I've never been in a family because I'm like, y'all ain't teaching me something. I've been doing this for a long time. I'll take notes here and there, and obviously, like when I watch somebody, it's inspiring, it's cool, and I do kind of learn, but it's not like a familial. My parent has taught me something that I'm going to take to the stage for the rest of my life.
Right, and yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Christ on a cracker. The whole mother thing. I'm like, it brings up so much trauma with people who have mother issues.
Yeah, agreed. I'm old as fuck. I don't need no mom or dad. I'm sorry.
Right. Like, I'm not calling you my mother.
I'm
what
like,
the fuck? Like, I don't like my own
well, I
mama.
mean,
You
I
want
don't
me to
even
like
have
you too?
any of my
No.
parents anymore. You know, that's I don't need somebody else to be.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah, no. So yeah, but yeah, that is drag. I don't know. There's blech. It's like it is. Yeah, it's oh no, I saw words and they moved too fast. But the drag kings, rather, I don't know what it's going to take. I wish Camp Wanakiki wasn't behind a paywall because it needs to be showcased. Because Camp Wanakiki, when they had their very first king on there, it allowed that human to talk in their confessionals about the same things we're talking about. And it needs to be put out there more. So maybe these corporate dollars can say, oh, our kings are just, if not more valuable than our queens. Let's put them on the forefront. Take a chance on them. You took a chance on RuPaul. Look how that turned out. You took a chance on what is the gore one? Dragula, and that blew up.
I love Dragula. Dragula has great
Yeah, I remember
representation.
when Dragula was grainy and scary, and I can't watch this anymore. Let me turn this off. You put me in a casket with worms. Hadn't watched an episode since.
Yeah, not for
Hadn't
me.
watched, but it took people seeing that yes, there is a different version of drag. Why can't you say, oh, there's another spectrum and there's this drag king?
I love drag.
We just need to find some money. And that's the thing, like I think about the legacy and I can't name what you would think of a legend as a drag king.
No, you're right. Wow, that's great.
I can't think of a mainstream drag king.
I mean, Murray Hill's as close as we have, and yeah, and I mean, Murray hopefully will become more mainstream with this Drag King show, but that's the closest we have, and Murray's still kind of niche. You know what I mean? They're not mainstream. They're not RuPaul.
Well, there's also Land Insider is pretty big because of Dragula.
Right, like we know Lady Bunny, we know RuPaul, we know all of these people, but all of us made a puzzled face when we tried to think of an elder drag king, and that's a problem. Because I'm sure they're out there, but they just haven't gotten a spotlight because, like you said, the misogynistic in it is like the men won't let them in because they got to step it up because the kings are fucking amazing. All right, do we have any last thoughts, friends?
I'm just gonna say, I'll jump in and just say, for anyone listening, book drag kings, right? Book drag kings, book trans performers, book fat performers, book Black performers, brown performers, right? If you have a platform, we should be using that platform responsibly, and using it to. It's not about us as producers. It's about giving people a platform to be seen. It's about giving them a platform to have a voice, and to express their art, because that's what we need. I don't want to go to a buffet of just bologna sandwiches. I want a taste of all the flavors that are in there, and our audiences deserve that, and our community deserves that.
And I think even more so, us representing our own communities, it is upon us to be even more so about setting that example. Again, it's taking that back, as we were talking about how corporate and everything is taking it from us. The only way we can take it back is, it is booking kings and different body shapes and sizes and colors, because again, just like straight people, we have every aspect and every representation. And if it's I think a lot of our own communities, it's us stepping up, it's us doing it, and just always doing the work. And half the time, I think I see a lot of people that do the hustle on social media but don't really do the grind, if that makes sense. And it's like, great, I see all that stuff out there, but it's just to make you look good on social media. That's actually, go out there, do the work. Again, I pointed out earlier about my restrooms at my bar, and I could post about that and complain that, well, I actually have this. I don't need to do that now. I just live it. And again, it's also living authentically, not for social media likes.
Yeah, and that's the problem. and I will say it, everyone does it for the likes because it's so easy to get monetized now. So they're going to stick to what they know and push what they know and who they know. And the people who don't have that reach, those people that do have that reach, be a good fucking human being and bring somebody up with you. If that person takes your spot, that means you weren't as great as you thought you were. And that's something that's between you, your God, and your therapist. I know this is probably why I don't have any Pride bookings, because it's fine. But yeah, you have to sit with yourself. If you're afraid to bring somebody up because you think they're going to dim your light isn't as bright as you think it is.
You aren't the star you think you are if you're worried about that.
Right. You are, but you say things like that and you're considered a bully and you don't get booked.
No, that's not being a bully. Again, I prefer honesty. I do. Honesty is always good. People say they're honest that aren't.
Yeah, it's all for the gram and the likes and the views and the visibility. I don't
the virtue signaling. Look at what I'm doing. I'm so good and you're bad. Fuck you.
That part. Sit down, shut up, and let somebody take a break. Rest is not a reward.
Thank you, ma'am. Agreed.
But yeah, so we are all going to even though I couldn't watch all of Camp Wanakiki, I would make sure it was playing because those views matter. And with this King show, even if we can't watch it, just turn it on while you're doing something else so that those views are counted, so that they see that people are watching it. Because that's the only way we are going to get our kings out of the shadows, is by with our views and dollars.
And it also helps. Yeah, but also like if you're being cast for something and you see that there's nobody there, it's okay to say, hey, why don't you include this king? Why don't you include this person instead of just having the same thing? Like sometimes we have to push our counterparts forward and speak up. That's part of doing our due diligence. If we're doing the work, right? If you say that you're doing the work and you don't see that these lineups are kosher, you got to let these producers know, here are some people for you. Include them.
And it's like I also say with the patrons, this is your money. You're allowed to tell producers what you want to see. Stop going to shows that don't represent what you want to see. But people, and it's like, I don't know why that doesn't register. You just go to shows and then you go home. It's your money. Tell them what you want to see. That's what a producer's job is to do. Produce what you want to see. So we need to continuously push our kings and start screaming about it, because I know the kings are tired of screaming about not being booked, about being overshadowed, about being the only one in the lineup, or when Pride comes, they only have a blip it and it's on a stage somewhere in a corner no one can get to.
I need a t-shirt that says, where the kings at? That's what I need.
All right, Pistol, there's Harpy's shirt.
Where the kings at?
Where the kings at?
we'll also add a WEBurlesque on the back too.
Yes. We have to pay homage to where it started, because that's what doing the work looks like.
If we're here talking about doing the work and whatnot, everybody that is on this show, I would like to book next year for my Queer as Fuck in Vegas, which is usually in March. So we have it recorded. We have it there. So now it's on there. So I can't. So there you go. There you go. So everyone on this one. I have a co-producer. She'll live with it. I'm not worried about it. I decide. Me too. I'll have to do a video sucking a dick or something just to prove it or something.
Hell yeah, please.
Already here. Let's go.
All right, friends, that has been the conversation that was needed. I am grateful for each and every one of you doing the work, taking the stages, shouting the words. We lost Pistol. I guess he's still roasting butts or touching butts. I don't know. There he is. Oh, he's eating butt. But yes, we are going to wrap this up, and I would like each of you all to introduce yourself, where you're from, how to send you money because times are hard, snacks are expensive, and if you want to plug anything you got going on, feel free. Harpy, we'll start with
Why are
you.
always making me first. Hello. If you're ever in the Salt Lake City area, you can catch me. Well, listen, they don't call me the cryptid of burlesque for nothing. I'm there. But June 28th, 29th, I am emceeing part of SLC Pride's Festival. Woo! If you can find me on Instagram, it's Queen Harpy. Woo! If you'd like to send me money, I take Venmo and Cash App. It's still Harpy. Woo! Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tosh again. Hello, happy Pride to everybody. For Pride this year at my bar, the R&R bar in Amarillo, Texas, we are just having a punk rock Pride event. We always do that now yearly on the night of Pride here locally. It's also so I don't compete with the other people who are performing. I to try to be aware of not having competing shows, especially locally, even if we're friends or not. I still, try to give that respect for whatever. But we do a punk rock Pride again. I celebrate Pride year round. I do a show, Queer as Fuck, in Las Vegas. Started in Texas. I do it in Vegas. I did skip a year. I had some personal things happen, deaths in the families and stuff like that. But we did produce it again this year. We'll be back and again next year, Queer as Fuck in Vegas. It'll be volume 4. Will be done in March of 2026. Here in Amarillo, Texas, I'm the owner of the R&R bar, and coming up and for the 4th of July, I have a show. It's a Colorado invasion called Porn on the 4th of July, bringing some Colorado performers with some of our local Texans. I also am going to do a new macabre show that'll be a multi-show 2 weekends with 1 weekend with out-of-towners. If anybody has seen Abandoned in Las Vegas, it's kind of based on that premise, how they do that, but with more burlesque and more macabre acts in between the vignettes. I wanted to go a little artsy with that. That will be the first 2 weekends in October. And I'm also producing the Southwest Regional Burley Picks here at the end of July. So that's it.
Mr. Valdez here, Colorado Springs, Colorado. You can catch my shows every third Saturday called Stripped, a Valdez production, where we do promise to bring you the best in LGBTQIA plus and BIPOC performers. I did mention I'm a featured performer this year at the Colorado Burlesque Festival in July. You can send me your monies. Everything is at I am Mr. Valdez. And then again to the walking the walk and talking the talk, and using our platforms for a good thing. I do want to shout out a local competition here in Colorado Springs called Lord of the Kings, produced by Mario Wana. That is an all-king competition. They just had their first year this last year, and their winner is actually headlining my show in July. And be on the lookout for that.
Hi, I am the Sweet Siren. I'm based in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I travel all the time. Please in your city or state. I did 3 weeks in New York. Had an incredible time. Got to work in so many shows, and I just love traveling and meeting new people. Here in Vegas, you can see me 3 times a month in House of Glamour shows at the Phoenix Bar. And you can see clips and all kinds of fun stuff online of my singing and my burlesque and my drag king work and all that good stuff on Instagram at the Sweet Siren. And if you want to send me a little cha-ching, times are hard. Shit is expensive. So my Venmo is at the Sweet Siren as well. And happy Pride.
And our featured panelist, Waramono.
I am pretty easy to find online. It's usually Filthy Watermono wherever you look. But my actual webpage is linktr.ee/filthywatermono, because that Linktree website be great. Literally has my Venmo, my PayPal, my calendar, like all my socials. But in June, I am actually producing 3 shows. I am co-producing Grease on the 14th in Los Angeles area because I just wanted to see Sandy with a beard. I thought that would be great. So you bet I will be stomping on people in those fabulous heels. And then my Pride brunches are on the 22nd and the 29th. So you'll see all of that on my calendar. And yeah, my Venmo also on there, Filthy Watermelon.
And I have been your moderator for this edition of WEView. I am Coco Rose, and as you know, you can find me in the airport. And for Pride, I will be on Harvey's couch because I'm not doing anything. If you want to send me monies because I've got some plane tickets coming up, you can also find me in August at a queer BIPOC produced festival as the MC for our universe. And later on in the year, another BIPOC, all BIPOC festival in Canada, Shade Burlesque. But my pay handles are Venmo and Cash App, the Coco Rose 901. Thank you all to amazing guests as well as our featured panelists for joining us today. And we'd like to give a special shout out for WeBurlesque for giving us this platform during Pride Month. And if you want to keep this going, please make sure you support their Patreon because bitches got bills to pay. So sign up to be a member of their Patreon account or just send them some dollars so that they can keep continuing to spread the word of burlesque in every shape, form, or fashion. There's something for everyone on the We Burlesque Network. Thank you all. Have an amazing Pride. Help someone and don't shop at Target.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
The WeView is a product of the WeBurlesque Podcast Network, as produced by Victor Devon. This is the property of the WeBurlesque Podcast Network and Victor Devon. However, all views that have been included upon it are those of our guests. I might agree with some of them. You might agree with some of them. Send in your fan mail or any questions. You can go to weburlesquepodcast@gmail.com or weburlesquepodcast.com and fill out the form. Thank you so much. Go to patreon.com/weburlesque to support the pod.